Man, that was a hell of a Sunday. That was a hell of a Sunday, man. Really good games tonight. I mean, from the early slate, afternoon slate to Sunday night, some good games, man. But let's just run through a couple that I kind of want to talk about a little bit. All right, so Washington versus Dallas, 44-22 Dallas. And this game kind of started out decent for the Commanders, then it kind of just went south. And dude, between CD, Dak, and Pickens, that offense is dangerous. They are dangerous. They're potent. Literally potent. Like, that's the best word to. Yo, you're not subscribed? Why are you not subscribed? Come on, man. Don't be a hater. Don't be a hater. Don't do that. I know you ain't a hater. Just subscribe to your boy. Come vibe with me. All we do is talk football here. Come vibe with the homie. Let me know what you guys want to see. And make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. All right, now back to the video. Describe them as an offense. Schottenheimer, a lot of doubts about him this last year going into the season. I think this dude calls a pretty damn good offense. I really do. Like, I don't know why people were talking shit about Schottenheimer, but I'm like, Schottenheimer and the offense are actually pretty good. I really do think he calls a really good offense. And the defense didn't play all that bad, even though Dallas's defense, we know how bad they are. Jalen Daniels didn't really have the best game, but I thought that Dallas's defense kind of played decent this game, right? The defensive rookie Azaraku that they selected in the second round, pretty solid player for Dallas, and you don't really hear him being talked about a decent amount. But this was a good selection for Dallas, and they got rid of Parsons. We don't talk about a lot of their defensive players, but they do have some players on that side of the ball. We saw Deron Bland with the pick six, and Trevon Diggs, for whatever happened at his house, I don't know what happened personally, but he wasn't in this game, Trevon Diggs, so he had a concussion. I think the relationship with him and Dallas has been a little bit weird since, Micah Parsons has been traded. So not having him there, Deron Bland he's a good corner. He hasn't been playing like it this year, but, biggest takeaway from this game is Dallas's offense, super dangerous. And on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think they played bad. And that rookie, pretty solid ball player. For Washington, man, that defense being called by your coach and Dan Quinn, they're just an unreliable unit. And you can see it. Going into this game, I did think that the Dallas Cowboys were going to shred their defense, but they torched them, right? And it's being called by Dan Quinn. It's a problem. It's a problem that they're going to need to fix. And I don't know if they're going to fix it, because we kind of saw this from last year. Like, their defense was solid, but they weren't one of the better units, right? It was offensive driven by Jayden Daniels. And we saw in this game, I mean, Jayden Daniels, we know he came back from injury with his knee. Even up to this point, it hasn't looked like Jayden Daniels is completely 100%. But in this game, what was it? He got the hamstring injury. And if you don't have Jayden Daniels in that lineup without him, even with Mariota, I know Mariota's played decent games, but if you just look at the way the NFC is right now, and there's a lot of teams with like 3 and 4 wins. Top teams have 5, 6. It's not that far off. It's really not that far off. They could really lose ground on the rest of these NFC teams. I mean, look at the Bears. Look at the Bears who they just played. The Bears are sitting at 4-2 atop with the rest of the NFC North in the Vikings and not the Vikings, Detroit and Green Bay. The NFC is highly competitive right now. And if you're Washington, you don't have Jayden Daniels in, it could be bad for them. So we saw in this game, like, their offense just really couldn't get it done. I thought the offense with Jayden Daniels was decent while he was in, but having all those injuries for your wide receivers, it's catching up to them. And there's a thing that, like, when these wide receivers and these players, they hold out, I always have suspicion of, like, how is this, like, are they going to get, like, a soft tissue injury later on in the season? And you would never wish that, but it's something you kind of need to think about. And Terry McLaurin's been hurt this year. I'm not blaming it on that, but it wouldn't shock me if him not being there for all of training camp kind of is playing factor into his health this year. So, really, really good game for Dallas. And if you're the Commanders, man, you really need to pick it up. And hopefully Jayden Daniels is okay. All right, Eagles versus Minnesota, 28-22 Eagles. Dude, Jalen absolutely balled out in this game. He balled out. And I mean, we all know in the last game against the Giants, it didn't look good. It's probably the worst game that we saw from not Carson. It's probably the worst game that we've seen from Jalen all year. It didn't look good. For him to bounce back like he did today was massive. I mean, perfect passer rating, over 300. I saw Nick Wright talking shit, saying he can't throw over 100. This is a really big game for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense. I mean, you have Smith and A.J. Brown both go over 100. You know your offense is in point. And it was on point today. I mean, Jalen was throwing those deep balls. That dude throws some of the most prettiest and most accurate deep balls in the league. He may not have the strongest arm, but he can fucking huck that thing. But yeah, you know, it's kind of weird with them because Saquon in the run game, they really haven't got going. So that's something that they're really going to need to work on, because the later we get into football, the colder it gets, need to have that run game there to some capacity, right? Yeah, man. So you could tell Saquon is a little bit frustrated so far, but he's not going to act out like A.J. Brown. I'm not saying A.J. Brown isn't a team player, but Saquon just wants to see the success of the team. So you're not going to see him act out, but you can kind of tell he's a little bit frustrated. And then on the defensive side for Philly, Nakobe Dean, Vic Fangio, the way he threw him back in there, you could see it right away. I mean, Nakobe Dean kind of picked up right where he left off right before he got hurt. Playing really good defense, knifing through on the run plays, really good tackler out in open space. Nakobe Dean, you could tell Jahad Campbell's played like a damn good linebacker as a rookie so far this season. But there's a couple things you can kind of see the veteran presence with Nakobe Dean alongside Bond. And then Cooper DeJean, that play when they had him lined up against Justin Jefferson and they threw that fade. Cooper DeJean is, at this point, one of the most reliable corners I watched on the Sunday, Monday, Thursday Night Football. It doesn't matter. He's so reliable for Philly out there. Such a good pickup. Like, it's like a pleasure to watch him play football out there at corner. And I love watching like corner play. But Cooper DeJean every single week, such a lockdown corner. And then on Minnesota side, dude, Brian Flores, he decided to come out and play super aggressive against Jalen. And Brian Flores' passing defense has been damn good this year. Played Jalen super aggressive, and it kind of backfired in their face. I mean, their whole point of emphasis, you could just see it. You could see it during the game. You go back and look at all 22, I bet you can see it on film too. Their point of emphasis was to shut down Jalen and the run game, right? Jalen, the run game, and Saquon. And they did. Jalen didn't even have, he didn't even have positive rushing yards. Saquon had like 48 rushing yards. But the pass with A.J. Brown and Smitty just went nuclear later in the game. It literally went nuclear. It backfired in his face. I've seen the same thing with Spags. Spags went heavy, stopping that run in the Super Bowl, and it backfired in Spags' face, and Jalen threw all over him. So that game plan was, it kind of blew up in his face. It really did. And dude, Carson Wentz, dude, I have so much respect for Carson. I really do. I have a lot of respect for Carson. And he can play so good at times, but man, when he kind of gets off rhythm and he tries to do too much, he can play absolutely erratic. Like, those picks were just like, what are you doing, dude? You know? And then we saw later in the game, he kind of picked it up, got the offense going. So at times you can trust him, but at times it's like, dude, just take what you can get. And KOC called a pretty damn good game. He really did. They may not have won this game, but I mean, we saw the incomplete to T.J. Hawkinson. Wherever you want to go with that. I didn't see his hands under the ball at the end, so I'm going to just call that an incomplete. I mean, his hands were literally folded. Looks like an incomplete to me. It was close, but incomplete. But however you want to rule that. And then there was just open stuff in the red zone that Carson just didn't hit or see. And I thought KOC, I was like, he's calling the game. Carson's just not hitting it, right? And they settled for a lot of field goals, and you saw how it ended for them. It didn't end up good for them in the end. But, you know, J.J. McCarthy coming back, I don't really know how to evaluate J.J. McCarthy. So going forward with the Minnesota Vikings in a highly competitive NFC North, I don't really know what to make of it. With the quarterback position, you got Carson. Carson can play so good, but he can do some literally boneheaded things at times. It's just like, what the fuck, dude? Then JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy is still an absolute mystery to us as a quarterback. I mean, what does he play? Like 1 or 2 good quarters in 2 years? He got hurt the first year, and now this second year, he started a couple games, got hurt. I don't know what to make of JJ McCarthy. So Minnesota at the QB position, they're in unknown territory. They really are. Defensively under Brian Flores, I kind of know what they are on defense. But on offense, it's still a question mark in a really competitive NFC North. Broncos vs Giants, 33-32 Broncos, dude. They get the dub. This game was absolutely nuts. I'm sure you guys have seen highlights literally all over the place of that game, because that game was crazy. Up until the fourth quarter, it was pretty bad for Denver. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Like, Bo Nix did not look good. Bo Nix and the offense did not look good for like 3 quarters of this game. The Broncos offense had opportunities early. They just couldn't convert, and they couldn't finish drives. Like, it was literally atrocious. Broncos defense later on in the game, they really started to kind of set their foot down and just be like, hey, this is enough. Like, we're gonna get some stops. And they got stops along with some mistakes on the Giants end, and it put them right back in the game and gave their offense opportunities. And you saw what happened, dude. Like, Broncos offense got hot, scored 33 points in the fourth quarter. Absolutely insane. The one thing that was shocking to me is, the penalty that they called where it got the Giants on like the 1 to 2 yard line where Jackson Dart then ran it in. But that pass interference where Sean Payton was arguing, I'm shocked that Sean Payton went onto that field and like argued with the ref. I understand it, right? You're going to stand up for your guy in that situation. We're talking about possibly losing the game over a call. But I'm like, dude, Sean, you can't go out there and do that in that situation. And you saw they threw the flag. It's like, Sean, come on, bro. Like, you're one of the best coaches in the league. Highly respected as one, right? You can't do that. But it worked out for them in the end. And then on the Giants side, Jackson Dart, they may have lost this game, but he looks like a legit franchise quarterback. Win or loss, this dude has literally picked up this whole offense and the defense, and they just have motion. Like, that's the best way to put it. That whole offense plays with really good rhythm, and there's some people that get upset over the whole like swagger. I like it, dude. It brings a whole vibe to that whole team, and it just brings them up. Unfortunately, in this game, he had a really bad pick later in the game, and it cost them. And it let the Broncos get back into this game. Shane Bowen, dude, that Giants defense, they literally got cooked, so that didn't help. But that was a bad mistake by Jackson Dart at that point in the game. And like I said, dude, Shane Bowen in that I'm like, dude, giving up 33 in the fourth quarter to the Broncos. You would have thought going into the fourth quarter, you were like, Giants have this game. Like, they have it. Yes, it's like 19-0. They have this game. Nope, dude. Shane Bowen, I'm not going to completely blame him because the players play their part too, right? Like, they weren't stopping the Broncos. But I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, get a stop. And then they allowed him right back into the game. And, the injury to Javon Holland, I noticed people saying Burns is in a boot, but he said he's good, right? He said he's good after the game. I know that's like a precautionary thing, but it's something to watch. Nobody expected the Giants to go out and compete this year, but with Jackson Dart, they kind of are. So those injuries are kind of something to look for. Javon Holland's a pretty damn good player, and we know how good Brian Burns is. So that's something to look for. And all around, just for the Giants and their coaching staff and the team, but morely Brian Daboll and the coaching staff, this is a bad loss, really bad loss to give up 33 points to the Broncos in the fourth quarter. It's like inexcusable, dude. It's like embarrassing. But yeah, that's the way I look at it. Jackson Dart's a good player, and this is by all means not the end of the New York Giants, but it's not a good look for Brian Daboll and that coaching staff to give up that many points against a team that you could have beat. You beat Philly, you beat the Denver Broncos. Hey, Brian Daboll, you get all the breathing, literally space in the world. Like, dude, if he would have beat those teams, they're giving him the full year into next year. And that still may be the case, but come on, man. Indianapolis versus the LA Chargers, 38-24 Indy. Dude, this Colts team, I bet, has caught so many people off guard. I mean, 38 points. Absolutely insane. Tyler Warren and Jonathan Taylor are a focal point of this offense. They really are. But do not forget about Pierce and Pittman. They can do their part and they can do damage. When you least expect it, you think Warren, Taylor. Then those two show up and make a massive play downfield. This offense under Steichen, like when he was with Philly in the year when they went to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs the first year, 2022, their offense was so just like, literally, if it was a 3rd and 15, they were probably going to get the first down. That's the vibe I get with the Indianapolis Colts. I really do. I don't know what it is about that team, but on offense, dude, it's crazy. Jonathan Taylor is clearly the best back in the NFL as in terms of rushing, right? He's not like your biggest receiving threat out of the backfield. He's not like a McCaffrey or a Bijan or a Gibbs, but he is the best rusher right now, and that's a threat, especially with their offensive line blocking the way they are. Like, they're blocking pretty dang good. And along with Steichen and Jones just getting more and more comfortable, and they're beating some pretty damn good teams in the AFC. I mean, we considered the Chargers 2 to 3 weeks ago a Super Bowl team. Yeah, this is a massive win. Lou Amaruno is coaching good. They may not have like the best unit in the NFL, but they're playing. I think they're playing really good football, and they really feed off of that offense. That offense goes out there and balls. The defense is going to go out there and ball and get some turnovers and get some stops, and you really see it. You know, I talked about Daniel Jones and Steichen in that offense. They remind me of Philly. I take that back, dude. You know what this team reminds me of? Because a lot of people are like, oh, they probably won't win the Super Bowl. I'm like, they could. They remind me of the 2017 Jaguars, right? With Blake Bortles in that offense. I mean, who would have thought that Blake Bortles and them were going to get to the AFC Championship game against Tom Brady and the Patriots? And they damn near won that game. There was like a call or two that didn't go their way that easily could have went their way and won them the game. That's the same way I view the Colts. Like, they could be in the AFC Championship game. Don't blink. And then on the other side, dude, the Chargers. The Chargers looked great the first couple weeks. They really did. First 2 to 3 weeks. I'm starting to see some of the things from last year. Starting to see similar things from last year. And it's kind of scaring me for the Chargers. It really is, dude. The offense is super inconsistent at this point. I wouldn't say that. The offense is dangerous in the passing game. They are. They have no rushing game at all. Clearly, the run game just isn't a thing there right now. It's just not. Like, they literally struggle in that department. And Herbert, as great as a QB as he is, and I literally view him as a top 5 quarterback. I know some people put him outside of the top 3. At times, he plays like a top 3 quarterback. Dude, the red zone interception, like, bro, you cannot do that. I know it's not the playoffs. I know people talk about him being in the playoffs, being a bad quarterback. But I'm like, this is a big game. You're going up against Indianapolis. I know it's not in division, but it's still in the conference. And this is a team that you could possibly see in the playoffs if you get into the playoffs. And for them to give up 38 points is alarming. It's literally alarming. Like, if you're a Chargers fan, the offense I wouldn't be so worried about, but the defense, it's like, what the fuck? And then when Herb makes those boneheaded mistakes like that, like, he went out and passed for a lot of yards. I do get that, but they're trailing most of this game. It's like, dude, you can't do that. Like, the first red zone interception, I'm like, dude, like, Herb, you cannot do that. And I don't know. I don't really know what to make of this squad. I know they have injuries on both sides of the ball. I understand that. And I just wonder if it's really starting to catch up to them. But really good game for Indy. Chargers absolutely still in this AFC race. Make no mistake, we still got plenty of weeks left. But there are some alarming things on their end that I'm just like, I don't know if this team could go up against KC come playoff time. I just don't. Bears versus Saints. Dude, 26-14 Bears. You know, on the Bears end, I think Dennis Allen called probably his best game this year. I would say this was his best game. They got They got good defensive players in Chicago. They really do. At times, people forget that. People like to shit on Chicago. They got good defensive players, and I think Dennis Allen called a really good game. Kellen Moore and Spencer Rattler have been pretty good against some better defenses this year. Good coordinators too. So for them to play the way they did today, I was just like, dude, I'm really impressed with Dennis Allen. Like, this was a really good game for him, man. They've kind of had a couple games here and there where it's just like, shit, dude, like we need to get a stop. But overall, a really good game. Caleb, dude, I know Caleb still has some misses you'd obviously want back, but I do think Caleb played solid, and that's all you want in a first year for Ben Johnson. I don't want to see him play bad. I want to see him play solid and above. Solid, good, great. That's what I want. I want to see some consistency. At these last two games, I feel like he's played solid. Left some plays out there on the field, but I'm like, he's playing good at times. Like, I don't see a lot of negative, but there are some throws that you're like, wish he'd hit that, but it's just building the foundation right now. That's the way I feel with the Bears offense. Building the foundation. You got a couple young wide receivers. Give it some time. Give it some time, especially with the young tight end Loveland, who I don't really see much of and I want to see more of. Have some patience, right? Ben Johnson, these last couple weeks, we've noticed, he's really leaning to the run with DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift these last 2 weeks has had great games, dude, over 100 each game. Really leaned into that run. This is what we saw with Ben Johnson in Detroit. He really leaned into the run, and it made their offense great. Like, Detroit's offense is a great offense, and they're a fun offense to watch. And with Caleb having a good run game with DeAndre Swift, it's only gonna make that offense just move that much easier. You know what I mean? He's not going to be having to force throws, make things happen. With a solid run game, gets you into short distances on third and shorts, you second and short. That's what you want. And I'm starting to see that from the Chicago Bears. And, dude, I mean, what are they? Are they in a 4-game win streak? 4-game win streak? Is it 4? Maybe I'm wrong. They're on a heater, though. Sitting at 4-2 in the NFC North. Shit, dude. What are they, right there with Detroit and Green Bay? Who would have thought that Chicago would be like in the NFC picture right now? I know it's early. We still got plenty of weeks. But right now, they're up the top with Green Bay and Detroit. And there's a lot of people that talk a lot of shit about the Chicago Bears. So I'm impressed by this team. I really am. I mean, this is Ben Johnson's first year, and I think people really tend to forget that based off of what the media fucking says on week to week about Caleb Williams. And then on the other end, the New Orleans Saints, dude, Spencer Rattler, he didn't look good today. you guys know me. I'm a big Rat fan. I think Spencer Rattler has a pretty high ceiling. I really do based off of this year. But I think this was like a pretty bad game from him. I really do. And the Saints literally have no run game right now. Alvin Kamara, I know he's been in trade talks. Do they trade him? Do they not? I have no idea. But the run game is just not there. And it's putting a lot of pressure on Spencer Rattler. Like Kellen Moore, I don't think he's doing it intentionally, but the run game just isn't there. It's putting a lot of pressure on Spencer Rattler to kind of go out and just make the offense work. Right? Chris Olave had a solid game. He's not as good as those other Ohio State wide receivers, but he's still a pretty good wide receiver. He really is. But, dude deals with a lot of injuries. We see him get banged up on game to game. He had a good game today, though. But with this offense, there's a lot of mysteries kind of right now. I just don't really know how to grade them. I don't. But it's kind of like the Ben Johnson situation. I'm like, let's just let it play out. Like Spencer Rattler, I just want to see him play solid this year. Don't want to see him play bad. If he's playing bad, that's something that we have to worry about, possibly draft another quarterback, right? Even though they just drafted a quarterback. So we'll see how it plays out for them. But Rat did have a bad game. And then that's just honestly the way I view the Saints right now. They're not terrible, but they're just not a good team. They play tough, but they're just not a good team. And I do think I really think that Mickey Loomis is going to give Kellen Moore time to kind of build this thing out. We saw it with coaches in the past. Like Mickey Loomis will give coaches some time and have a little bit of patience. So give Kellen Moore some time. Don't know if it'll be this year, at the end of this year, but Just have a little bit of patience with Kellen Moore. We'll get there. But hey, this is a good W for the Bears and a win streak. That's what we like to see. San Francisco versus the Atlanta Falcons. And what was it? 2010 Niners? This team is juiced. The San Francisco 49ers are juiced. I'm convinced. Dude, Mac Jones continues to look like he didn't go out there and play one of his better games, but he still went out and played pretty solid, right? It'll be interesting, man. If Purdy comes back, I know fans do not want to talk about this, and I understand that you just signed Purdy to a contract. If Purdy comes back and he plays bad, there's a quarterback controversy whether you guys want it or not. Like, they're gonna talk about it. Like, if he plays bad and you guys lose games with how many games you guys have been winning. I mean, look at you guys. You guys are sitting up top the NFC with a couple other teams, Tampa and Philly. He has to play good. So I'm interested to see how that works out. Offensive side, dude, McCaffrey looks so good. So many of us doubted him. Even I had my doubts about him. I still don't think he has that gear like he had last year. But McCaffrey looks pretty damn good, dude. I mean, what do you have? 70 plus receiving yards, 100 plus rushing yards. CMC looks great. And when you get George Kittle back in the mix, I know George Kittle didn't have a ton of targets today. I don't think George Kittle had any targets today. But George Kittle, aside from Trent Williams, I just don't think this highly of San Francisco's offensive line. People are going to call me crazy, but aside from Trent Williams, George Kittle is such a damn good run blocker. I'm not saying he's the best pass blocker, but he's also a pretty good pass blocker, right? Outside of Trent Williams, would you be crazy to say that he's the second best run blocker, pass blocker on the team? I don't. And you see that today. McCaffrey literally went off, dude. You add George into the run blocking, especially, that's much better for CMC. Much better. And, dude, Robert Saleh may be missing dudes. I know he's missing Nick Bosa. Fred Warner just went out. He is literally coaching his ass off, dude. He's coaching his ass off. That defense is continuing to play tough. They came into this game against an Atlanta Falcons offense that people were talking. Even I've been hyping them up. Like, they hot. Like, they're a hot unit right now, especially in the rushing. They are hard to stop. And for Saleh and that defense to come out and keep them at 10, that's overly impressive. Like, this San Francisco team, they're serious. They really are. The Purdy thing is what makes me like curious. It's like, dude, if Purdy goes out there and plays bad and makes them kind of lose ground on the rest of the NFC, that's a quarterback controversy. So that's why I kind of say that. But even with injuries, it's possible for the San Francisco 49ers to literally be like the 2 to 3 seed, if not the 1. Like, is it really that crazy to say that they could be the 1 even with injuries? This team has so many injuries and they're playing so good. And you get those guys back, who knows what they could do. And then on the other side, dude, for the Falcons, McCaffrey really gave Atlanta's defense problems all day. They literally couldn't cover him. They couldn't cover him in the passing game. Every single time they dumped it off to McCaffrey, I was like, he's going to make somebody miss. He's going to get a first down. He's literally going to get like 7 to 10 yards. And he did for most of the night. Really good in the rushing game. They could not stop him. They literally had problems the whole game. And Penix in that offense, they're a good unit, but they just could not get going against Robert Saleh's defense. They just couldn't. And I really feel like when Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, you don't get those dudes going. I do think Michael Penix is capable of just going out there and slinging the rock, but I feel like it kind of changes Atlanta's offense at this point. They're a young offense, but at this point, without Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson getting a lot of rushing yards, I think it makes their offense not as dangerous. They're still a dangerous unit because they got dudes kind of all over, but they really need that rushing game, and they just didn't have it tonight. Penix didn't really look entirely comfortable. I mean, that San Francisco defense was getting pressure on him. Bryce Huff fucking was like all over him, especially towards the end of the game. Like, he was all over him. So I don't really think Penix was too comfortable tonight, and that's credit to San Francisco's defense and Robert Saleh. Like, they were just doing their job. And, you know, Atlanta's offense, you have to remember that. you do have to remember that Atlanta is still a young offense, and I just think it shows against good defensive coordinators like Robert Saleh. I do. Like, they kind of, they're just not the explosive, high-scoring offense against those top coordinators at this point. But we'll see what happens down the course of this season. But San Francisco fans, don't doubt your team. Don't doubt your team. Like, just have faith. Have faith. Especially if you get a bunch of guys back healthy later on in the season. The sky's the limit for your squad, I'm telling you.